Hello, geometry scholars. Welcome to second week here, Summer Academy. We're going to be doing skill 3.3, which is on justifying parallel lines. So the question that you'll see today pretty frequently is, are these lines parallel or not? When you're justifying something, one thing that makes me and just about any other math teacher happy is using the definitions and the vocab in your explanations. So instead of saying, so don't say the lines are parallel because it looks like it. Do say these lines are parallel because the alternate interior angles are congruent. So if you're making an observation about which angles are congruent and naming the angle pair, that's how you can structure a really good, high quality explanation. All right. So one of the things that you'll notice about like the definitions, if you were to kind of read a textbook, is that the definitions are basically the converses of your skill 3.2 definitions. So we have, for instance, if the two lines are parallel, this was in the last skill. So I'm going to label that as my P part. Then the alternate interior angles are congruent. So that's my Q. And we want the converse of that. So we're going to do Q arrow P. So what this says is, we'll just type this out. If the alternate interior angles are congruent, then, sorry, with the color, the lines are parallel. And we'll just make this part red. Won't let me. Oh well. So let's actually look at some types of questions that you'll see. So basically, the ways that you justify here, the alternate interior angles are congruent. So what we mean by this is that the alternate interior angles are labeled to be congruent, or maybe they have numbers. So maybe we have 110 and 110. So those are some diagrams. And then the alternate exterior angles are congruent. Same idea, except we are on the outside of the parallel lines. So if I have a situation like this, so I kind of put numbers in, hypothetical numbers. The corresponding angles are congruent. So this is if this angle and this angle are corresponding. So I could say that. Or if these are kind of like marked incongruent, and then the same side interior angles. So this would be a situation where maybe this is like 70 and 110. So the angles that are on the same side add to 180. So please take a pause there and make sure that you copy this chart down, because this is the type of thinking that will help you create good justifications today. All right. One type of question that you're going to see is find the value of X that makes the lines parallel to each other. So what I mean by that here is that we want the lines to actually be parallel to each other. So we want, that maybe the same side interior angles are congruent. So this is just like a 3.2 problem. But the directions are just slightly different. Now, one thing that I see here, I don't see an angle pier, but what I am going to do is I'm just going to do like vertical angles. And I'm going to do vertical angle here as well. So that way I can get the same side interior angles. And we want them to add to 180. So then I'm just going to set this up. So I'm going to do 3x minus 5. And this is not negative here. Make sure that we are clear about that. Plus 2x minus 25 equals to 180. So I'm going to combine like terms. So I'm going to have 5x minus 30 equals to 180. So I'm going to add 30 to both sides. So I have 5x equals to 210. And that would make that my x would equal to 42. And I could even plug them in as well, just to check that they do add to 180. So I'm going to do 3 times 42 minus 5. So that's going to be 121 degrees. And then here I have 2 times 42 minus 25. So let's see, that's going to be 84 minus 25. And that's going to be 59. So I can actually see that 121 plus 59 equals to 180. So we are good. All right, the other type of problem is it possible to prove that the two lines are parallel? Explain why or why not. One thing that we see here is that we do not have an angle pair. However, if we use vertical angles, I can say that this angle is 75 degrees. And then I could say by same side interior angles, (115 plus 75) equals to 190. The angles are not supplementary. And we could therefore say not parallel. And that concludes scale 3.3. So just make sure that you're kind of identifying the angle pair, making the observation about whether they're congruent or supplementary, depending on the angle pair. And that's how you can come up with good justifications every time. So we will shift gears in the next skill to kind of go and look at parallel and perpendicular lines on the coordinate plane. So please stay tuned for the next skill.